You're watching The Ugly Inside? Subscribe below.
Welcome back to our end of season reviews, and we're here to talk about the fans player and the players player of the season, Oriol Romeu, El Jefe, I call him, the boss, in the middle of the park, with Tony from the original Fanzine, Saint, Smarchin, Chris and Ewan. Oriol Romeu, start with Ewan. Amazing season for him.
Fantastic. Absolutely. He is everything you want, that desire, that hunger, that sort of never die attitude. That's everything you want from a player in your team. I can guarantee you, most teams in the Premier League kill to have a player like him. He is that good. And technically, maybe he's not on the same sort of level as Victor Wanyama in terms of his physical attributes. He's a big old boy, but Wanyama's got that bit more. But he makes up for it in his hard work, in his reading of the game, and an inspired signing really when we signed him, not last season before. So he could come in ready after he made maybe 15 appearances in the Premier League when Wanyama was still here. Came in as a ready-made replacement for him, and to me, he's gone and he's brought that level up even higher. Fantastic season.
Yeah, excellent season, and this season for him in particular was to step out the shadow of Victor Wanyama.
Seems to have thrived this system under QL. If you look at last season, I don't see the things that he did this season. He did the season before. So again, you could say that QL has been very good for him.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, Oriol picks up players player of the season. Was it warranted?
I think it was. I think if Van Dijk had remained fit, then maybe there would have been a bit more of a debate. But Romeu has really stepped up. I think if Virgil van Dijk does go, he's my shout for team captain. I think he's got leadership qualities. He's got, as Ewan said, he's got that hunger. He doesn't like not making that tackle against someone. I think he's been fantastic. And he's former Barca Academy and Chelsea side. But you've got to have some quality for two of those teams to be able to, want to have you among their ranks at whatever senior or youth level. So I think he is a brilliant player. I'd love to keep him. I mean, there's not been too much talk apart from some Barcelona rumours, but they're linked with just about every player under the sun at some point. I'd love to see him stay at the club for a long time because I think he does want to be here. I think he plays well with Davis. Davis is maybe you can argue a little bit quicker. Davis runs about a little bit more. Romeu does move, but he's more of a Wanyama style player. I think they work perfectly in tandem. As we've mentioned, I think he fits really well into our system.
Okay, time to now go to a comment sent in from Aidan from the Fresh Saints.
Now this brings us to our players player and fans player of the season, Oriol Romeu. Now he's always been a fan favourite, but he had big boots to fill with Victor Wanyama's departure in the summer. He's done this superbly, blocking out opposition's attackers with absolute ease, and he's even proven himself to have a fantastic passing range.
So Aidan touches upon his passing range and his fantastic foot to stick into those tackles, and we will come to expect from Oriol every single game now where he gets himself really stuck into those tackles. He's picked up, 11, 12 yellow cards this season?
Again, I think he should be playing further forward for us. He's the only player in that midfield that constantly looks to play between the lines to get the ball forward quickly. And I think he's being underutilised really. Yes, he likes to tackle. Yes, he plays well in that role that he plays. But I would like to see him play further forward up the pitch.
Oriol has always been the anchor, the linchpin for me. He's been the connection between the defence to the attack. And I think if we moved him further forward, we would lose out on the protection of the back four. Yeah,
I think if we did want to move him forward, we'd have to have another player of the same physical ability in that spot. You couldn't say move Romeu above him and play Classy and Davis in behind. I don't think that would work. But when you look maybe to someone like Yaya Toure a couple of seasons ago, he started getting played more in an attacking role and he got 22 or whatever Premier League goals that season. I don't expect that from Romeu, but I think just because a player can tackle and can win the ball doesn't mean they have to necessarily sit deep. I'm not too sure whether I'd like Romeu to play in that forward role, but if we were to play a three-man midfield like we did under, I think it would have been Koeman, where we maybe had Davis just ahead of two centre defensive midfielders, but you wouldn't have called him a centre attacking midfielder or number 10. I don't see any reason why Romeu couldn't thrive in a role like that.
Okay, on to our second comment then, sent in from Jake from St Mary's Musings.
I'm going to get a lot of grief for this, I think. I do not like Oriol Romeu. I don't think he's very good. He's half the player Victor Wanyama is. So this is where I'm with Romeu, okay? So hear me out. Romeu, the people that complain about how poor Saints are also the kind of people that will love Romeu no matter what he does and won't listen to any criticism of him or anything like that. He's mediocre. He's good in the tackle and he'll get the crowd going, which is good. I certainly don't dislike Romeu. I just don't think he's good enough for Southampton. If we're looking to keep going that extra level like we have in the past, we need a better defensive midfield player than we do have in Oriol Romeu. He's not good enough on the ball. He's very sloppy positionally. He's also sloppy. I can think of 3 errors in big games for us, which he had catastrophic errors, which really cost Southampton. So in the Europa League against Hapoel Beersheva in the home fixture, which if we didn't concede a goal at 0-0, we were through. We really didn't need to concede a goal. Romeu was the player that gave the ball away, and they scored. And then he had 2 errors in the League Cup final. One of which was giving away a sloppy, needless free kick. I believe he tackled under Herrera, only for Zlatan Ibrahimovic to bury the free kick, which sent us 1-0 down in the final. And then his error also helped us move 2-0 down. Jesse Lingard scored. He was completely open. The player who lost his man was Oriol Romeu. He should have been marking Lingard, and he switched off, and he does that too often. Even in the Arsenal game, Man City game just gone, the United game just gone, too sloppy in midfield. And if we want to be at our best in midfield, I think our midfield's been our biggest weakness this season, and I think Romeu has a large part to play in that. I do think others are also to blame, but I think Romeu is just not the player we need there. Whereas Wanyama was, and I know he got sent off 3 times last season, Wanyama, but he was, when he was in the team, he never put a foot wrong. In my mind, I'm not necessarily right, but that's how I view things.
Jake, very critical of Oriol this season. Not good enough, according to him, and has been very sloppy, giving away the balls to some critical times in football matches, in the cup final, in the Hapoel game, in the Europa League. I think the disappointments and the negatives of the season far underweigh the positives of the season.
I think the best players try and make things happen. They don't stay on the defensive. He's always trying to pass the ball forward, as I say. If he played in a further forward role and passed the ball further forward, maybe it wouldn't be as bad as what people think it is. I have to disagree with him completely. I think he's an 8 out of 10 player every week. I think he's very disciplined in what he does. It's a very difficult role to stay in a small area and be very disciplined and organise the rest of the players around you. So he's been a very pleasant surprise for me.
Jake is very critical of Oriol. And do you think the comments are justified in the fact that he's given away, the important times in the important games?
I think I disagree. I think it's you can't win. I don't think. I think Wanyama is an incredibly physical player, but technically, he's not necessarily that good. And one of the main criticisms that I maybe had of Wanyama was that he'd get the ball played to him by Fonte, he'd look forward, he'd turn to the side, and he'd play it to Bertrand. It was all over and over and over. So he'd end with an 85% passing accuracy, but the amount that were forwards wasn't necessarily that impressive. And what we've touched upon is that Romeu likes to make stuff happen. He might end with a 70% passing accuracy, but if half of his passes are him trying to slot it between the lines to find, Buffalo or Redmond, I don't think I have an issue with that. I know that against Middlesbrough, maybe not the biggest team, but against Middlesbrough he attempted, I think, about 44 or 45 more passes than any Middlesbrough player did. Only ended with a passing accuracy in the 80s, which is still good, but yes, you make mistakes, but I'm in the firm opinion that if we didn't have a player as good as Romeu, Stevens and Rashida behind him wouldn't look as good and consistent as they are, because he mops everything up in that number 10 role. Well, obviously the opposition player is in that number 10 role against him. I think he's been brilliant this season.
Okay, Ewan, summarise Oriol's season. Picks up sweeps up at the Player Awards.
Yeah.
I think Jake is one of a few that are very critical of Oriol. But what would you give Oriol out of 10?
I think he's the only one that's critical of Oriol Romeu. I think, honestly, I cannot believe what rubbish he's talking. He's playing as a defensive midfielder on his own. Bear in mind, you had Koeman, he played with two, Schneiderlin and Wanyama. And I'm really struggling to get where he's coming from there. I think it says all these are player of the season, not just us, but the players as well. They recognise how good a player he is and how much he gives to this team. And sorry, it's wound me up a little bit. But no, I love Oriol Romeu, and I think same as Virgil. He's 25 years old. He is only going to get better. He's only going to get better, and I love him to pieces. And I'm going to give him 9 out of 10.
Excellent, Tony.
Yeah, I think he's been the surprise package of the season for me, and I will go along with what you're saying, definitely a 9.
Chris?
Yeah, I've got to echo that, a 9. I don't think he's been perfect. He has given away passes. He hasn't been like a faultless player, but I do think we would have been significantly worse off without him when you look at the lack of depth we have behind him with the centre-backs. I think he's been brilliant, and I think a lot of people forget that we signed him for about 5 or 6 million, which is absolutely nothing in today's market. So I have to give him a 9. I think he's been one of the most consistent performers all season.
Yeah, excellent ratings actually. Again, hard to disagree with anything lower than a 9. Sweeping up at the Player Awards, voted by the fans, voted by the players and the football club themselves. So for me, 9 out of 10. But leave us your thoughts in the comments below. What do you make of Oriol Romeu's season? Leave us your like and subscribe.